Right, first bit of work after a little break we've just had, 4 days away. Going to crack on with these beams. Obviously we've got half a dozen in. That's 6 to me and you. Need to get, well, I've got another 4 I think that are good and straight, so we'll get them in. I need to stop at that anyway and then sort that doorway out into the next room. Replace the lintels and rebuild it before I can think about putting the remaining joists in. That's going to involve kind of finding, going through the wood we've taken out of various areas and picking out a nice couple of pieces to replace those lintels that are in there, which are just, there's about 4 pieces of wood in there that they've put in over the years, none of which are reusable, not for this purpose anyway, but we've definitely got, you know, some pieces around that will make some lovely sort of feature lintels, and you know, inside of those we'll probably put something, as I said before, maybe a concrete lintel or a little steel lintel or something, but we'll see. So for today, I'm going to put a couple of beams in. I think we might get 3 in. It's going to be a little bit easier the next 2, possibly 3, because I'm now putting them in on the doorway, the main doorway into the house, which means I'm not having to cut into the wall. It's effectively doing the same at each side now, just sitting it on top of the wall. So it should be a bit quicker. In theory, of course, as everything is, but we'll see how we get on. If I get a couple in, I'll be happy. If I get 3 in, I'll be delirious. But we'll see how we get on. Right, behind me is this very mangled and tangled fig. I'm going to have an hour off my trimming. I'll come back to that in a bit. And we're going to get this side of it, that's darker and without leaves, chop back, right back, and clear this terrace. It's been cut back over the years, but obviously it's not been done for a long time, so it's just growing out of control. Fig's an absolute nightmare. You cut it and it comes back, you know, 10 times. But all of this on the side, it's got no plants on it whatsoever, no leaves, no signs of fruit or anything. It probably still be alive, but we're going to cut it back anyway. Later on in the year, we're going to really cut back this main tree, get it under control, and you know, probably do the same with these olives on this level, you know, later on in the year. But for now, I'm going to get this done, take off the little bits which can go through the chipper, and the bigger bits we'll chop them up, and they can be drying out for use on the fire probably year after next. So it's the end of the day. Probably about 6 hours trimming this afternoon, chopping that fig tree down. I've about had enough, but thought I'd give the neighbours a rest from this trimming. So I'm going to have 10 minutes on these steps that I started to do when we first started doing the videos. Never got around to finishing, did about 3 steps. So I don't think it's going to take me long just to clear the mud off them. And I'll start from the top, work my way down so you can see what I'm doing, and hopefully we'll get it done in the next 10-15. So we're at the top end of this area down here. Obviously I've been trimming it all. We're probably 3/4 done, getting right down to the bottom, but that's in full sun now. That's not going to change by the looks of it for a while, so we'll wait till later on this afternoon when that goes in the shade and have another hour or so down there. I'm going to start behind me, this area in the corner, which I'll show you close up in a minute, but it's full of these really big 7-8 foot weeds, triffids, really thick stalks, you know, up to about 60-70 mil, some of them. I'm going to chop them down with the axe, take them out, and then you'll see that this area is quite waterlogged, which is why we've got a lot of the reeds, which hopefully we can get this clear. I can show you close up, and they're really nice. I'd like them to stay. It's waterlogged here, I think primarily because it's a runoff for the or it's a runoff area for the spring next door, and somebody's put a pipe through this wall, and then it should go through the wall at the back here, back into the stream. But the part of the hose that's corroded here, so it's dropping in here. I think what we'll probably do, once we've got it all cleared, one thing or another, we'll pop another piece of pipe on and filter it straight through there, because it's not really doing anything any favours here. Standing water, it's just going to trap mosquitoes and stuff like that. So we'll do that at a later date. But first we need to get this lot out of the way, and I'll show you what I mean first. I'm pretty certain I'm going to get my feet wet, but I might go get a plank and see if we can, avoid that as much as possible. So we'll crack on. Right, so I've cleared that corner. I think I'm going to go at it this way now. I need to thin this area out. There's a lot of reeds, and I really want to keep as many as possible, but we're going to have to thin it out. It's a lot of nettles and some more of them horrible things that I've been pulling out in here. So we're going to blitz in here. We're going to leave as many of these reeds as possible, but I am going to cut a few down, and hopefully we'll meander our way through to the other end and make a route. So fingers crossed. So last night, last thing, we just cleaned off a little set of steps over there. So it only seems fitting that we'll do the same tonight. That's 7 I think, more or less. It was 8ish last night. Probably about 13 hours in over the last 2 afternoons on this plot. Battered enough. And chainsaw starter cord has come off, so I'm going to take the back cover off that and put that back on. It's not a big job, but I'm not doing it now. So we'll tidy these steps up, pull a few weeds out, because I know you'd like to see that. Yeah, get packed up, get cleaned up, sit down, have a beer. Do you know what, I might even have a G&T tonight. So let's get this done and we can call it a day. Oh. So we finally reached the end of the garden. I've probably got another hour's worth behind the camera to do in that corner, mainly grass. Pretty much got rid of all the triffids now. I think there's one still standing. So yes, this is the corner of our boundary down here. Here the stream's running fine behind me. Nice little rock pools. Yeah, a bit of pain really, but I've let it get too high. Key now is maintenance, just keep on top of it. The good news is a lot of it's flat, so I think we'll probably invest in a mower and just keep going over it. Set the mower on a high level, keep going over it, and just trim the rest and keep it manageable. Get a lot of these olives cut back later on in the year. Really cut them back, and as with the rest of the trees, and we should be able to manage it a lot better. Running out of fuel, running out of steam. We'll have enough time as the petrol will permit. As I've run out, need to go get some more. Not going to do it today. We're well into the back end of the day, so we'll do what we can do and get cleaned up and call it a night. Right, we've come back in here to put the final joist in that we've got, the final straight joist. That'll give us 10 in total. We've got another 3 or 4, I think 4 to put in, but I need to get them sorted. I need to just level up the 3 that I put in earlier in the week, or last week should I say, because I put them in and they're slightly out, and I need to make sure that these latest 4 I've put in are all in line with this back one, with the first one, more or less. As long as we're within a couple of mil, I'm happy, because obviously they're not set in yet. I need to do them properly. Once I've got these 3 level, I'll get the next one in, level that up, and then I'm going to put 2 OSB boards across, lengthways on, because they're 2.5 metre, so I'll get a good span across, which means that I can walk across to and from each side easy, not up and down ladders all the time. And then we'll move on to the corner and start taking the brickwork away and taking the old lintels out. I want to get back over onto the land across the road this afternoon if possible, but that'll probably be around 7 when the sun's gone off it. Finish trimming, raking away what we've trimmed and what's been there for years, getting some rocks out of the way, trying to, you know, really make an impact on that land over there, so we can keep on top of it and have it as a, you know, a usable space, and eventually fence it in so the dogs have got a good run down there. We can go and have an hour or 2 down there with them every now and then. That's the plan. I've set the level up. I've just put a prop up here. It's not sporting, it's just there so I can put the magnetic bracket on for the laser. I've got that where I need to be, so I've just got to nudge a couple of beams around, and then we can get the last one in, and hopefully we'll start doing some work on that doorway there, those lintels. So we'll see how we get on. So this last beam we put in is a little bit high at both ends, which I think I knew it was really. I've got the other 2 more or less. So we'll lift it to one side at this end, get this end done, and then we will slide that end out, drop that end down, put it back in, and hopefully we'll be alright, and then we can get this last one in and get them boards across. Right, we've got these 3 beams more or less levelled. Obviously I put these 2 pieces of OSB down. You might have noticed slightly staggered. That's because obviously these are piled up here and I can't really get it far enough over onto that joist. So, but there's no drama, we've got a straight run across. Perfectly safe, makes things a bit easier. Yeah, so now just got that last beam to put in, last joist, sorry. Keep getting mixed up with joist, beams and lintels. Yeah, so last joist in, and then yeah, see if we can get onto that corner this afternoon. I've got the joist ready at the doorway, but I've got the holes to cut out. I think this one at this side is going to be a bit of a pig, because I need to cut into a stone that's probably around 60-70 centimetres long. I've got to go down a fair way, so it's going to be a bit niggly. This side shouldn't be any problem at all, unless we are too close to the joist that goes into the other room, which I suspect we might be, so it looks like this one's going to take a bit of time. But we'll crack on and see how we get on. Obviously the level doesn't mean a great deal. With we're using the laser level, in theory everything should be more or less there. But of course, you know, these joists aren't perfect, so to have it, you know, pretty much there, you know, without them being set in place, you know, we've got a bit of planing off to do to get them pretty much, you know, 100%, etc. To have that, you know, each way pretty much, you know, there or thereabouts, you know, quite happy with. So yeah, we'll carry on in a happy mood. So, first job to enable me to get this these lintels out is basically I just need this final board, or this first board up of this floor section. That's the only one that's over the wall, so we'll just peel that up and we can start taking these bricks out, these stones even. So here we've got two of the four. This little little one that they put in for some reason, which is just completely rotten. This bigger one, cylindrical as you can see, but it's just rotten, completely rotten, no weight to it. I'll show you the two that are left in, or I'll show you the one at this side, because the other side's really dark, can't really show you. Bit more significant, but again it's rotting away, it's barely hanging in there. It explains why the doorway was at an angle. It was coming down on the right hand side, and it explains why the floorboards in this back bedroom were coming away from each other. There was a gap of up to about 1 centimetre. You know, so obviously the floorboards are basically coming with, you know, the joists are dropping at this end, so it's pulling the floorboards away from each other. Nothing we didn't know, so no surprises, you know, no dramas really. So we'll get that down probably tomorrow, get cleaned up and straightened up, and then we can have a look at what we can put back in there. Going to save the bigger rocks. I've got a lot of nice rocks that I'm finding on the land over the road that's come out of the terrace walls that have fallen, etc. In good condition, really nice looking stones. So the ones that are going to be on show we'll try and replace with you know, some nice looking ones, and then backfill it with obviously the other bits and pieces. So on that note, I'll grab my strimmer and we'll go and have an hour. What? What's up?